Zenless Zone Zero's combat is currently being pushed as just mashy. This discourse is similar bait that a lot of players make about action games in general, and honestly, it's tiring. Games like God of War, Final Fantasy 16, and even Spider-Man have all been diluted to just being mashy. And if you're a fan of any of those games, you know that that's not the whole truth. A lot of modern action games or even fighting games have created barriers of entry that are simple enough for a lot of players to get into. This is because a lot of these games are still trying to market to a casual audience, so they need to make sure every player that picks up a game can understand the system. So, yes, if you want to just mash one button the entire time, you can enjoy the game that way. But if you want to explore and understand the combat system much more, then there's more than what meets the eye. The Zenless is exactly like this. The game is easy to pick up and enjoy, but it definitely has some layers to it. Every game's layer of depth varies with how far it can go, and in Zenless' case, I feel like it has a strong foundation, but it can be built upon and expanded. The core of Zenless combat is centered around 4 elements: attacks, movement, skills, and character switching. These elements are integral to expanding your understanding of how the combat works, but I will say the early game of Zenless doesn't require you to fully understand how all of this works and flows together for now. This is knowledge within the game that you'll need to learn as you progress through the game, but for the context of this video, I want to give you guys a better understanding now, and to do so, let's break down each one of the 4 elements. Alright, to start, we're going to be going over attacks, and this is mostly going to be considering basic attacks. So tapping, so this is what generally mashing people are talking about. We have this, we have hold attacks depending on characters' combat structure is when they can do hold. So like for Anbi, she can do 3 hits into hold, into a lightning strike. We also have a character Nicole who sits around gunshots, and if you hold down her attack button, she actually sends off an energy shot using her anomaly, as well as someone like Anton who has different modes when he goes into his skill. 1 second, and when he does so, he's able to hold, do different length holds in order to do like short drill presses or crazy drill extensions, if I can get it, to maximize his damage. We also have unique characters that require you to have some precision. So with Soldier 11, you can mash with her if all you want to, but that is not how you maximize her damage. She actually rewards you for having timely presses, so to knowing her pattern, in order to get flame ignited on her sword. So you want to be able to understand when to do so in order to get maximized damage with her when you don't have skills or ultimates. But this is where I'm mostly in my agreement with the game being very mashy. Of course, if this is all you're doing, then of course you can just say, yeah, I'm just only left clicking and I'm being able to kill enemies. But sure, yeah, you can do that, and sometimes the games allow you that, more so within like story and lore content that's more so like casual based for you to just go through and collect rewards. But there's so much that you do in between this that makes the game much more than just a mashy game. And that leads us into our next section, which is movement. Movement is through your general running, and then we have dodging. Dodging is how you're going to be doing a lot of the stylish stuff within the game, and one of those main things are dash cancels. Dash cancels are pretty common within like action games and fighting games, where whenever you do an attack, you're able to just do your dodge button and cancel out of any animations. A lot of the times when you get to higher level content, enemies that have a higher priority level aren't going to be stunned or anything by this move. So whenever you see them attack, you're able to dodge cancel, you're able to dash cancel to get up out of there, as well as you're able to use dash cancel to extend. So that I'm able to come in here, do pressure, reset, go into my set combo. I don't want to waste this here, and then bam, go into some real cool stuff. And I like that you're able to do that with the freedom of the game, because dash canceling is what really starts to open this game up, because you're able to extend these very basic combos that of course you're still doing mostly left clicking, but you're able to implement it and change not only with directions, then you're also able to go into things like your dodge counter. Dodge counter is a solo instance where you're trying to dodge an enemy and you get this white effect here where everything is slowed down around you and you're able to dodge whatever your enemy is doing. What's important to know with this is, oh shoot, you thought you was gonna hit me, buddy. Oh, he got me. What's important to know with this is that when you trigger this, you actually get a special move follow-up for dashing. Everyone's move is unique, and you're able to get this pretty consistently once you learn the timing of your dodges for whatever move your enemy is doing. Which is the big selling point when it comes to understanding the combat of Zenless, is that you have to understand what moves your enemy is doing so that you can properly dodge and counter against them. If I switch to any other enemy, I can't just do the same old regular timing. I have to figure out what exactly they're doing before I can just constantly mash dashing. But you can't do that because if you see, once you do dashes up to 2 times, it actually puts yourself on a cooldown. I've never fought against this enemy, so I don't know his pattern. But whenever you see that yellow flash, that's where you get to see when you do. And you don't even have to just do the basic attack. You can just literally go into whatever you want whenever you dash. Go into my skill. Okay, I'm probably going to my ult too. Yep. Dash, go into ult, and then I'm invincible. And then we can do whatever freaking damage we want to do, which is pretty sick. I love that about this game. The movement in this game is what really opens it up, and I'm so happy that they actually implemented all this because it just makes it too much freaking fun. Another thing we want to talk about is dash attacks. Dash attacks, I kind of showed it earlier, but this is when you do any dash button and into an attack. Now, there are different forms of dash attacks for characters. Not every character has a different form, but for a character like, let's say, Nicole has 2 dash attacks where if she's moving while dashing, she gets this spinning circle. But say if she's idle and dash, she gets a gunshot that allows her to create space between you and the enemy, as well as do some sick like shift into her skill in order to send out her nade. And then we can call in our teammate to do whatever we want if we wanted to. Everything in the game also is dash cancelable for the most part. So like here, I'm about to trigger my special. As long as I have not let go of the starter frames, let them play through, I can cancel out of my special if I don't want to use it. Next, we have our character skills. Character skills is where everybody gets very unique. Everybody has a special attack and EX special, but we also have things like chain attacks and ultimates. The regular special attacks is when your special meter isn't highlighted. So if you see in the bottom right where my E is, this is Anton's EX special attack. Now this is essentially a amped up version of his regular special, but essentially these are going to be 2 moves that are going to generate or use meter right below your health bar. So when you see me pop this for Anton, what this does for him is that it puts him into a mode. This is why you see his drill is lit up, and now he has a completely different move set than what he had before, making him a crazy monster. And how you know when he's in this mode is that you'll see that he has his meter on the side draining whenever he uses drill attacks, and it's just super sick. How you know you get out of this mode, that it'll eventually wear off. And what we hopefully will be able to see is that we have his regular special attack, which is just a regular drill. It doesn't do anything crazy, and it doesn't even build up any gauge for him. But it does a little bit of regular basic damage. Most of the time with a lot of the characters in the game, you want to be using your EX special attacks the most, because those are the ones that's going to give you bigger damage, as well as going to trigger unique things for every character. Another example is with Ambi. Ambi EX special is a big uppercut swing. Now what makes this good for Ambi is that it allows her to do her basic combos, go into this uppercut swing, come down, and send to her own little unique combos, which is actually pretty cool. Hers is very combo oriented, as well as that depending on the level of enemy she's fighting, if they're pretty lightweight, she's actually able to do air combos with her teammates when switching to them. You do sick things like that, bro, and that's just like a basic understanding of doing like really cool things within the game. Of course, there's going to be a lot more labbing, a lot more searching of what you can do with special attacks for characters, but basically it's just your special moves, and it's what defines each character. It makes them different from one another. Next, we have chain attack. This is something that triggers once your enemies are about to be dazed, and what it does is that it triggers a cinematic on the final hit, allowing you to do active switching into your teammates for everybody to do their own special form of move during their chain attacks. Depending on how much daze that's being inflicted against the enemy, you are able to do this a multitude of times, leading to some massive damage. Now personally for me, I wish there was a unique way in order for us to pick and choose when we want to trigger chain attacks on our own. That way we can open up a little bit more freedom in how we want our combat to be played. But chain attacks are essentially a big way for you to get a lot of damage. This is triggered through your last hit of your basic attacks, dodge counters, special attacks, EX special attacks, and even ultimates if I'm not mistaken. Which, speaking of ultimates are just like skills. They are very unique abilities for every character, and they provide them with a lot of things to do. Now, for instance, with Soldier 11, she is able to trigger into her fire whenever she wants to without having to be precise. She does get that big ultimate slash too as well at the beginning, but now what this means is that for a little while, I'm able to just spam however I want to, go into big dash cancels in order to maximize damage without having to go to precision, and it just enhancedly increases her damage output. Now, a lot of times ultimates are really big cinematic supers that do massive damage, but I hope there's more characters like Soldier 11 within the game that adds a bit more properties in order for her to do different things even after the ultimate has been performed. That just makes the characters a lot more unique and cool. And finally, we have the character switching. Character switching is the big thing with this game that you're going to want to master, and this is where all of the fun happens, or at least majority of it. What character switching allows you to do is that you're able to intertwine between different characters' combat and do some really cool things. Now, there are some unique and very hidden techniques that you can do with it, but I don't want to explain those just yet because we're just going over the core of the system. But with character switching, you have your regular switching with comboing going between characters, but then you also have your switches that trigger when reacting to bosses doing big moves or any of that sort. What I mean by this is we have different assists. All of these types of assists are triggered in many different ways, and there's quite a few of them that we have to go through. For one, we have reactive assists. Reactive assists are when the character takes damage and you get blown away. You're able to see a prompt that comes up in your screen that tells you to switch into your next character. What this does is that you're able to cancel out your recovery of being knocked back and instantly go back into action with your teammate coming in to now be the attacker. We didn't have perfect assists. Perfect assists are when you see a yellow prompt comes up to either dodge or switch into your next character. And what this does is that it essentially becomes a parry. Now, this consumes assist points when you parry this move, and depending on how big or taxing the move is determines on how much assist points it takes away from you. And you use this so that you can stay on the defense and instantly go back into combat when you're ready. Just a small note, you gain these assist points back by doing chain attacks and ultimates. Now, a cool thing I figured out in the middle of this video is that there are actually two types of perfect assists. There is a defensive and an evasive assist. Defensive assists are assists that allow you to parry enemies' attacks to trigger a high amount of days and interrupt most of your enemies' attacks. Evasive assist enables you to dodge enemy attacks and trigger a vital view, which during all of this, all enemy actions are significantly slowed. So how you're able to know the difference between defensive and evasive assists is that they are all triggered by the same thing, but if you look into a character's kit, you are able to see if they have a defensive assist or an evasive assist. Now, what makes all of this shine for Zenless is how all of these mechanics flow together seamlessly. The overall game feel is amazing because of how well the combat system already works together. It provides the sense of euphoria that becomes pretty addicting after a while, and I definitely want to expand upon it throughout the game's life. This expansion will more than likely happen through different units, but I feel like players will grow to love the current system and characters we know now when they face challenging enemies that force you to understand how the game is supposed to be played. I feel like a game can have a very simple combat system as long as the content provided requires you to be engaged with it from all aspects. A great example of this is Honkai Star Rail. Star Rail is probably as simple as it gets when it comes to a turn-based game. Because of this, players can just casually play through the story and complete daily content without truly understanding every integral piece of the combat system, which is fine. This allows HoYo to appease their general audience, which mostly consists of casual players, but what they did to elevate the combat is not only provide units with new and unique systems, but they also created content for hardcore players that introduce a much more challenging endgame. This endgame content requires players to understand Star Rail's combat system in and out and expect you to know how to handle and do things like properly building your teams. This is something I see ZZZ doing, and it's looking like they're already starting because Shiyu Defense is basically Memory of Chaos from Honkai Star Rail, which is some of the in-game content I was referring to. This is just a taste of the content that will require you to understand the combat of the game and build team synergies to help you clear efficiently, and I can't wait for them to expand upon this down the line. Again, just like I said in my last video, I'm personally not worried about ZZZ combat because I enjoy it already. I would love for them to expand upon it as the game progresses, but for right now, I think it has a solid foundation and a very fun flow to it. I'm not saying it's the greatest combat ever, or am I really trying to compare it to any other game. There's just a bit more of the combat system that a lot of people are saying because they want to discredit the game in any way to uphold the game they're most excited for. Yes, I'm talking to some of the Withering Wave fans, but I have no ill will towards anyone. I'm excited for both games, and I even plan to cover both of them on my channel. Personally, for me though, Zenless Combat just provides a level of satisfaction that I still find enjoyable, and I just want to share that with everyone. I believe the combat and the game overall should definitely receive some criticism, because to me, criticism normally leads to some form of improvement, which in that case, everyone wins. But that'll be it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy me going over the combat, how it's a lot more to it than what most people think. I do believe you can find enjoyment with ZZZ's combat, as well as all of the other content that will be implemented in this game. We already have pre-registrations up for the game since it is expected to be coming out July 3rd, and I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and also share the content for me. Remember to believe in the you that believes in yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next one.